Hey there, campers. Bob here. And a lot of things in geek culture as of late has been really weighing on this little geeky penguin's mind. And I felt I wanted to share a few of my thoughts with you. So stay tuned, Bob the Penguin fans, as this little crazy penguin, sorry, but gets just a little tad serious for a moment.
You're listening to Penguin Thoughts. These are the thoughts that penguins are thinking when they were thinking that they were thinking about the thoughts they were thinking when they were thinking them. That is, we think.
So, most of you who listen to this podcast regularly have probably noticed that I've just kind of went quiet for a bit. For good reason. With all the crazy things that this penguin has been watching humans do to each other in geek culture has kind of taken me back as of late. So I felt I wanted to share some thoughts from this little penguin on what he has been observing and to clear the geek air, so to speak. First, I consider myself to be a very geeky little penguin and into all kinds of geeky things. Everything from Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, video games, and comics. I love Trek and Star Wars so much. It is the kind of sci-fi this little penguin grew up on. I remember the good old days of watching Tom Baker as the Fourth Doctor in Doctor Who take on the Daleks as I was just a little nestling. Watching Captain Kirk, Spock, and McCoy figure out that alien creature like the Horta was not a monster, but just trying to survive. And recently, as you probably have even listened to one of my podcasts I did on the upcoming season 2 of The Mandalorian, I was stoked for that show. And it was still so good, and still is. And let me just say, the return of Luke Skywalker to save baby Grogu brought so much joy to this little penguin's heart. It grew 7 times large that day, like the Grinch's heart did in that Christmas thing. But the things that lately have been happening and that I've been seeing from geeky culture as of late is sometimes confusing and baffling and downright depressing for this once little passionate and excitable geeky penguin. It's kind of the main reason for the silence in this podcast. Unsure of what to really talk about and how this penguin really feels or thinks about things that are happening. For example, just thinking about the awesome return of Luke Skywalker, which was way cool, has now been replaced with the destruction, desolation, and firing of Gina Carano, aka Cara Dune. Cara Dune, like so many others, has become one of my Star Wars characters that this little penguin grew to love in The Mandalorian, and was looking forward to finding out more about her story continuing in the Star Wars universe, her journey, so to speak. With Gina's firing, not sure that's going to happen. Gina's firing has left this little penguin shocked, awed, and stunned. And all because of some weird human political thing that has started to replace good sci-fi stories all over King Geekdom. This penguin finds it hard to understand for humans to have this need to use geekdom as some political platform for some agenda rather than giving fans a place to enjoy good geeky content and tell a good story. As of late, this has left this penguin really starting to feel discouraged, and my geeky passion for all things geeky is starting to fade, with all the human crazy culture drama with any and all of my favorite geeky stuff. Several times over the past few weeks, I had originally wanted to make a podcast about Luke showing up in the final season of The Mandalorian, Also wanted to talk in another podcast all about my thoughts on Ahsoka Tano, which is one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters. Wanted to talk about Rosario Dawson's portrayal of her and a new show called Ahsoka. But as of late, even that, there is a rumor out there that Rosario Dawson may be next on the chopping block like Gina was. All this drama and cancel culture, politics, agenda stuff is leaving this little penguin feeling discouraged and finding it very hard to feel any joy anymore for any of his favorite geeky stuff, let alone wanting to make a podcast or create a YouTube video on my geeking outedness. So, what am I to do? What are we to do? Those are good questions. I've decided the only thing I can do is to keep fighting and hold on to hope for the return in geekdom to good geeky content instead of some human's ideology. It is hard and won't be easy, because every geeky show I watch or read or enjoy is now met with apprehension and wondering if it's going to be a good geeky story I can geek out about, or am I just waiting for the next shoe to drop of yet another good geeky show ruined by some human's agenda? You know, penguins don't have politics. At least not like humans have politics. It's pretty much a simpler life. We play video games, we frag fish, we spit ice cubes at the neighbor cat, enjoy geeky content and squawk with each other about it, watch out for predators while we're hanging out together on a beach, frying up some waffles to play badminton with later, and then give each other PHF for being such cool little geeky penguins. Wait a minute, what's that, you say? What's PHF? Well, that's penguin high flippers. It's kind of like human high five, but with penguin flippers and way, way cooler. So, what are we to do with this current state of geekdom? Quite literally, this little penguin just doesn't understand why the content he has been enjoying all his penguin life just can't stay the same and tell a good story with no ulterior motive, malice, or drama behind it. This week, for example, is the finale for WandaVision, and part of me thinks it's going to be great and leave more questions than answers is answers, which is typical for the MCU stuff, which I geek out about big time. And so far, WandaVision hasn't been too bad either. Not the traditional thing this penguin expects from the MCU, but in the end, this little penguin is still torn. On one hand, I'm hoping against hope and trying to stay positive that the finale will be great. However, just like everything so far has been as of late, it always seems to come at a cost. So this little penguin fears what cost it will be this time. This little penguin has been enjoying the first two episodes of Superman and Lois on the CW the last 2 weeks. I can't believe how hopeful and good it has been. It's a nice, fresh breath of fish air for this little penguin. However, a part of me, way back in the deep recesses of the mind of this little penguin, there are thoughts. Thoughts of despair. Thoughts of potential disappointment. Thoughts of concern and dread. Just waiting to see if yet another geeky thing of his turns rotten at the hands of human politics. This penguin hopes not. Hopes against hope. Wants all the good geeky stories to return to him like a boomerang fish does when thrown at midnight at a blue moon. So this little penguin is just going to fight and hold out hope like a fish in the crosshairs of my quake cannon. Kablooey! That fish has been fragged. And hoping for the return of good geeky stories. I just hope that this little penguin doesn't start to get fragged back by the current cancel culture and politics that seems to be trying to destroy any and all good geeky content, or any human or penguin that wants to stand up for good geeky content. Well, I hope you Bobanites don't get all down because of this podcast. I just want to personally thank you for letting this little penguin share his deepest despairing thoughts on geekdom, and in the hopes to return this little penguin hopes on good content by allowing me to release all those disparaging thoughts in this podcast, and will hopefully re-energize this little fish-fragging penguin to create more geeky penguin content and get back to making more great podcasts in the future for you. I guess if anything this little penguin would want you to take away from this most serious podcast is to try and stay true to your inner geeky penguin. Stay hopeful. Stand up for good geeky content and fight against the human politics agenda and drama. If that doesn't work, guess you could always just shoot some fish instead. They love being fragged. This little geeky Star Wars penguin, though, does stand with Cara Dune, and anyone else for that matter, who is suffering from any form of cancel culture that seems to be in all of geekdom at the moment. These are definitely bewildering times in geekdom. Hashtag we love Cara Dune. Hashtag we love Gina Carano. Anywho, I think making this podcast was more for me to get my thoughts out there, and hope it doesn't keep you from wanting to hear more of my little penguin thoughts in the future. I promise they won't be so serious as this one was. And I do hope you decide to come back and listen to more podcasts from yours truly, and if you're so inclined. I also have a YouTube channel where I make rather silly videos as well as other social media sites too, which are all linked on my Anchor podcast page, and would greatly be honored if you would come and visit and even subscribe. And as always, I am this crazy, geeky, silly little penguin named WhataboutBob, and I'm out the window because the door is shut. Later, peeps.